Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu analysis video. In the morning these videos come and in the evening MCQ lessons they come. My pal sir is taking MCQ lesson on the premium platform. Very important help for the UPSC Prelims aspirants, and the best series is there for the next Prelims examination. 70th December it is, and let's start the lesson. Pocket News app is trending on Google Play. Regarding these courses, you can get the information on given numbers, and this is the link here, and this is the course. You should subscribe that. It is one of the best course. If you go through the demo videos there, they are available for 3 days on the last days of November, and on the channel these videos are given, so you can get the idea there how important these videos are. You can call on these two numbers if you have any query, any confusion. If you have, then you can call on these two numbers. Chat section is also available. Telegram channels link is given on this Facebook group where you can get the PDF, and you can follow me on Instagram too. Some words that I found today, and the first issue: Citizenship Act rules get ready. You see, we have been discussing the Citizenship Amendment Act now, and the details of it, they are getting finalized. So one of the most important issue for the prelims examination next year, you see, Citizenship Act 1955, which was amended last week, provides that Indian citizenship could be acquired by birth, by descent, by registration, and by naturalization. And this naturalization is the main issue this year, or by the incorporation of territory. If India attacks any area, any territory, or if it smoothly acquires any other territory, then all those people will also be the Indian citizens. So these are the ways to get the Indian citizenship there. Now we will discuss the issue of naturalization. For that, if any person from any country, if he comes to India, if she comes to India, then they need to stay here for 12 years in total before they make the application for the citizenship. So they will always need to give an application, then the citizenship will be given to them. Now, what is this 12 years rule? You see, when they make the application, before that, immediately before that, they need to stay for 12 months in India consecutively, and then they can make the application. And before those 12 months, they need to stay in India for 11 years in total. Means they can stay in installments there, 1 year at a time, 2 years at a time. In total, they need to stay for 11 years in India, and then for 12 straight months they will stay in India, and then they can make the application. So in total, after 12 years of stay, they can make the application. This is the way of getting the citizenship by naturalization. They will make the application, and then the citizenship will be given to them. Now, for these people, non-Hindus from these three countries, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, for non-Hindus, this 12-year stay will be relaxed to 5 years. So the mandatory requirement is relaxed for them. So that is the case. Now, if any Muslim wants to come from these three countries, or from anywhere in this world, or any other person from any other country, if he wants to come, then the 12 years rule will be continued. That will be applicable, and they also can be given the citizenship. The difference is there only for these non-Hindus from these three countries. So that's the issue of Citizenship Amendment Act, CAA. That is boiling this nation today, and a lot of protests are there. Remember, the details are extremely important, and the date which is fixed, that is also important. Means 31st December and 2014. If these non-Hindus from these three countries, they have come to India before 31st December 2014, then this rule of 5 years will be applicable, not after that. So the date is also important, and the act shall not apply to the tribal areas of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, and Nagaland. So the Schedule 6 states and the ILP states where the inner line permit is working, that will also work in Manipur now. So there also it will not be applicable. The provisions of the CAA will not be applicable there. So that's the main issue, and these rules are getting finalized. So they may ask you many questions on that. It is important issue for GS paper 1 mainly, issue of population anxiety, demography, as we discussed yesterday. So GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4, and for essay also it's a very important topic, because a lot of decision making you will learn from those situations. Means they can give any case study in some controversial area, or they may talk about the security issues for the GS paper 3. They may ask about the policies and the laws in GS paper 2, and the social issue. It is surely a social issue, so GS paper 1 will be relevant here. So that's the issue. So you should remember the earlier provisions are continuing. The relaxation is there for only these 3 countries, and some controversies are there, like the atheists are not included in that. They are not mentioned. And the Tamils living in Sri Lanka, if they are coming to India, then they are called migrants. And right now 95,000 Sri Lankan Tamils refugees are living in Tamil Nadu, and we have surely given citizenship to 4.61 lakh Tamils from 64 to 2008. So it is not like that we have not given citizenship to any other person. We have given, surely we have given to many people. But in this list, the Sri Lanka country is not covered, and it does not give any relaxation to the Sri Lankan Tamils there. So that is also very controversial, because they are also Hindus. If they talk about the religion issue, then they are also Hindus. This is the allegation by some Tamilian leaders there. Now all provisions we have discussed the matter in much detail, so we will move forward. Next issue, Pranab Mukherjee, former president of India, he drew attention on a very important issue. You see, 1971 the census was conducted. At that time around 55 crore people were living in India. On the basis of that population, in 1976, 42nd Amendment Act came. What it fixed? It fixed the seats in the parliament, mainly in the Lok Sabha. They said that according to this population of 55 crore, there must be seats, and for 25 years from 1976 till 2001, we will not change these seats, because we are encouraging the family planning issue, and we are trying to control the population there, because it is rising with a very fast pace. So this fixture of the seats is for that reason. Now till 2001 they fixed these seats with the Amendment Act. Then in 2001 another Amendment Act of 91st Amendment Act that came, and they extended this freeze for another 25 years till 2026. They assessed the situation, and they said that till 2006 we should extend this fixture, and the seats remain same. So till date the seats are fixed on the basis of 1971 population. Today the population is crossing 135 crores mark. At that time it was only 55 crores, so it's more than 1.5 times 2.5 times the population there, and the seats remain same. The electorate is huge. India is a huge country. Populations, diversities, they are really humongous. That's why Pranab Mukherjee says that at least there should be 1000 constituencies or 1000 seats in the Lok Sabha there, because you see, when governments come, then they get the majority, but it is not like that maximum number of people they are voting for a particular party when they are giving a majority. No party gets votes more than 50%. That's the maximum till date. So that means half of the population does not want that government to be there, but it is the system there. So that's why we need more and more representation. That's the issue of representation there, and the hijacking of the democracy should not be there. More and more representation is a necessary condition. So here, if you talk about a present condition, then total 550 strength is there, and out of that 530 will come from the states, 20 will come from the union territories, and 2 people will be nominated from the Anglo-Indian community. So total 552 maximum can be there. But you see, right now there are 543. That's the issue. Existing 543. And Rajya Sabha's strength is 250, 238 are elected and 12 are nominated there. So there are more nominated members in Rajya Sabha. So that's the issue, and this is the basic information regarding that 91st Amendment and the 42nd Amendment. You must remember here. And the seats are on the basis of 1971 census. Okay. Next issue. Amitabh Bachchan wins 2019 DSC prize, especially for the South Asia region and South Asian literature. This award is given in 2010. This award was instituted, and it awards fictions from the South Asia region, which includes these countries: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Myanmar, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and as well as from the diaspora of these countries. So this year 90 books were submitted, and he won this award for his 2018 novel Half the Night is Gone. So remember that, it's a crucial information. They may ask you about that. Amitabh Bachchan, he is the person here winning the award. Okay. Next issue, it's regarding a very important issue of privacy and the ongoing situation. Data Protection Bill 2019, that was tabled in the Parliament by Electronics and IT Minister on December 11, and now it is referred to a joint committee to be headed by Meenakshi Lekhi there, the MP there. So this bill is there, that was necessary. We surely need this. We are in a dire need of this kind of a bill and a particular cyber policy there, because a lot of frauds, a lot of issues are there, a lot of attacks are there. And recently the issue of Pegasus, that was reported by WhatsApp, and additionally Google also alerted 12,000 users all over the world, including 500 in India, and it said that government backed phishing attempts were there to get the crucial secret information there. So we are giving alarm here that you being attacked. So the issue of surveillance is rising day by day. So we need some privacy rights here, and here the relevant act is the K.S. Puttaswamy Act, where the privacy was upheld as the basic right for every citizen in this country. So the very important right was upheld there by the Supreme Court 2 years back. Now why these gains are meaningless? This is something the writer wants to say here. He says that the data protection bill is coming, and it rightly requires handlers of the data to abide by globally accepted rules, and that should be there. That's a necessary condition, and that's very upright. The individual's consent is necessary to get the information there. So this provision is there, but what more is there? That's problematic. It disappointingly gives wide powers to the government, to the agencies, to dilute any of these provisions for its agencies. That's the issue. Means you give something and you take back everything. The bill which was tabled, you see here the provisions are controversial. As they say, devil is there in the details. You see, this committee is expected to table its report during the budget session. So they will discuss it, and there are many doubts whether the government is serious about delivering on the privacy promise, because this promise was made and court said that you should fulfill these requirements to uphold this promise of privacy. The privacy is the basic right there, but the sincerity is not seen here. You see, B.N. Sri Krishna, Justice B.N. Sri Krishna, who was the crucial person, and he headed a committee, and this committee's report made the basis of this data protection bill of 2019. He was the first person to raise a red flag. He used some words like Orwellian, Big Brother, and he said that the safeguards are removed for the government agencies. You are talking about the rights, you are talking about the privacy there, but you are compromising everything with the provisions there in the favor of agencies. Means the unrestrained powers are given. And in its report last July, the committee noted that the dangers to privacy originate from the state and the non-state actors. So where the exemptions are given, they must be watertight, narrow, and they should be allowed in the limited circumstances only. But that is not visible. That means today what happens in many of the countries, the agencies, the governments, they want too much power. They want to concentrate power so that they can control many of the institutions and ultimately the people. And they do not want to extend many powers to the people. They want to control more. Okay, so the power devolution is not something the governments want today, and it goes in the same direction where they concentrate a lot of power in their hands and they want all the information. They do not want any secrecy for any person, but they want to keep all forms of secrecy for themselves. Okay, as they do not want to tell you that who is funding the political parties during elections. The election bond issue is very controversial. They don't want to give any information, means they want to keep everything secret on their side, and they want everything transparent for the people, even for their most personal details. So that's the issue. Here they are talking about Constitution of Data Protection Authority in this bill. What is the issue? This must be there, but it will be headed by a chairperson and have not more than 6 whole-time members. How these members will be selected? They will be selected by a panel, and this panel will be filled with the government nominees. Means ultimately, indirectly, only government will decide who will come on this board, and the favorite people will be there on this particular authority. So why they will go against the government? Why they will criticize any government's moves, or why they will raise the issue regarding the excesses done by the government? That's the practical understanding in a typical country called India. And obviously they will choose their favorite people. This happens, and there is no doubt about that. So that's a related concern there. This authority must be there, but the independent people must be there on the board, and the expert people should be there on the board, and they should not be biased in any way. Otherwise the whole issue becomes a void. Okay, the whole intention would be changed. It would be going into an opposite direction. It is not going in that direction where the people are empowered. So this completely disregards the fact that government agencies are also regulated under the Act. So they are regulated under the Act, and they are the major collectors and the processors of the data themselves, and they will be there on the board. So the sweeping powers are given to the government and for the agencies there. So that's why they say that meaningless gains were there in the case Puttaswamy case, and the hope is not visible. The idea of privacy is certainly not reflected in the bill in its current form. That's the issue. If they are serious about that, then first of all, the government's influence should not be there on the institutions or any authority. You talk about RTI, you talk about Election Commission, everywhere there are allegations. You talk about RBI, there are allegations. Government wants to control. That's the common scenario in all the allegations there. Here also the issue is clearly visible, and it is certainly giving excessive powers to the government and the agencies there. So the misuse is totally possible, and misuse happens in India. In the past we have seen thousands of examples of misuses of the power there. So that's why this issue is important for GS paper 2 and 3. Next, how agencies work. Again a bad example here. Court, the Delhi court wraps CBI for delay in Unnao case, and you see the girl was a minor when she was raped, and allegedly by the MLA Kuldeep Sengar. Now he is indicted there, and court finds Sengar guilty. The girl was a minor, so the POCSO Act was applicable, and according to that, the mandatory condition was that the probe should have been done by a woman officer, but that was not followed there, and the 1 year delay by the CBI, that was very much evident there. That means the authority is certainly influenced, and that was working under some pressure. That's the clear issue, because the whole drama, the series of events that proves this thing, that this is the country not for the poor, it is for the powerful people. The system is there for the powerful people, and they can influence anything, they can delay anything, they can get things in their favor, and the poor is denied even for their smallest rights there. And she was the example of all the excesses and all the misuse of the power there. She was raped, her whole family was killed, and the intention was very much clear in the whole drama or the whole series of events there. And this was not something else. Things are evident in this case, and no clearer example we will see in the public domain there. So that's why here again the issue is there. So the very important article defines these issues. Article by Gautam Bhatia, the widening fissures in Indian rule of law. The now case was a rule of laws case. The relationship between the individual and the state is still marked by a deep, pervasive imbalance of power. You see, democracies are there. Why? Because the kingdoms failed. They cannot empower the poor person, and the weakest person cannot ask for any help in the kingdomship, and they are on a mercy of the powerful people in that system. That's why the democracies came and the rights were given to them, especially in a country like India where the maximum population is weak and poor. The empowerment is the main idea, and for sure the democracy must be upheld in a typical country like India where the weakest need help, a lot of help, and they cannot come out of the vicious cycle of poverty, inability issues, less education, less ability, out of the developmental cycle. They need a lot of help, and the help will come from the state organs there, that will come from the parliament, that will come from the judiciary, they will be protected by the judiciary, and the executive must work for their welfare. That's the ultimate need, and the idea of welfare state must be working at least in a country like India. You see, what we see here, many examples tell us that this country is not for the poor people, it is not for the weakest people. The real help, where it should go, where it should reach, the areas which need a lot of help there, the systems help there, the governments there, they are not getting that. And the system, the governments, they are more helping the rich people, powerful people, and the people who can survive without the governments also, they are actually getting all the help there. Last month, the news website Scroll revealed that more than 10,000 people in Khunti district of Jharkhand had been charge sheeted by the police for sedition law. You see, the sedition law is a very, very controversial issue, very unclear issue, vague issue. This was brought up in IPC by Britishers. First, they could not bring it in 1860, but later they included that. One of the most controversial there. First of all, we need to see the definition there. Sedition is defined as disaffection against the government or bringing it into the hatred or contempt. You see, this is the main definition there, the core definition there, not official but practical definition there. It was enacted into IPC by the colonial government. So this was the intention there, and they had this obvious intention that they wanted to save themselves, they wanted to protect themselves, and they wanted to rule and exploit the Indian people. So they brought this very drastic law there, but that was continued, that was challenged in 1962, but the Supreme Court that upheld it, and it said that the court noted that only acts that had a tendency to cause public disorder would fall within the scope of the section. Now, this tendency to cause public disorder is a very vague term. How do you fix these situations where any person has a particular outlook, a particular tendency, or any group has this tendency to cause public disorder, and what kind of things you will bring in the sedition framework? The sedition is the most controversial issue there, and where 10,000 people were charge sheeted, and those are overwhelmingly Adivasis. You see where the Adivasis are living, this red corridor area of many states in the eastern part of this country, where around 100 districts are under this red corridor issue, and the Adivasis and the tribals, the forest dwellers are living there. These are the areas where a lot of resources, economic resources are there. So the powerful people, the corporate houses there, the people who do these businesses there, they have their eyes on those areas. But how to get those resources without their consent? That's a difficulty. We have given rights to the people, we have given more rights to the forest dwellers there, we have given protection in the constitution there. So if the constitution is there and if that is properly implemented, then their bad intentions cannot be realized. So what to do there? Now label them, label Adivasis there, call them Naxalites, and act against them in that framework. Who will help? This can be made possible by the corrupt governments there. It can be made possible by the corrupt agencies there, corrupt authorities there, who will order to the forces and they will act there. So these are the possible conditions there. These are the allegations there that something of this kind was done there. Now you see, many cases we have seen in the past where fake encounters were there, and the fake labeling were there, and these are the areas of Adivasis. They are less educated, they are not that much aware, they are highly sensitive people, they get afraid very easily, and they come on defensive mechanisms very easily, so they can be provoked very easily. That's the issue. Now the allegation is such, whether direct allegations of Naxalism is there on those people, that they have taken weapons in their hands and they are attacking the state, they are attacking the forces there. That's the common reporting, common allegation there. One more allegation is there that some people have provoked innocent Adivasis or innocent people, and they are standing against the state. So they are provoked by the wrong people there. So the Maoism is a particular term, and the Maoists are working in these Naxalite areas. That's the problem, typical problem in the red corridor area. Now you see, in a particular case, a judicial probe was completed after 7 years, and they found that a so-called encounter of Maoists in Chhattisgarh area by security forces in 2012 had been a fake encounter. So these things prove that something wrong is surely there. People who raised voices against these kind of excesses, those people were targeted heavily. They were called urban Naxals there, and those people, some of them are behind the bars without any trial in the Bhima Koregaon issue. Some people who criticized the government's acts there, who criticized this wrong labeling on Adivasis, those people are heavily targeted. They are called urban Naxals in this country. That's the truth. So who is at mistake? For finding this mistake, we need to ascertain, is there any nexus, or was there any nexus in the past, or has been there any nexus in the past between the authorities, governments, or and these rich people, the miners there and the big industrialists there? Has there been any nexus? There are many allegations that there is a nexus, and that is why many decisions are taken like that. They undermine the authority, undermine the powers given to these tribal people. Gram Sabha was given a power in the FRA Act. So without their consent, the mining is not possible. And if the mining will not be possible, then the businesses, they will not be possible. Means till the time the FRA is there, till the time the RTI is there, it is very difficult to do some excesses and to realize the wrong intention of the industrialists. That is not possible. So that is why there is a big possibility that wrong labeling is done, and some innocent people are called Naxalites, some innocent people are called Maoists, and their fake encounters were done in the past. So we have seen, and some judicial probes, they are proving this thing, that fake encounters were done there. So what do we know? Through the popular media, always we hear the issues of Naxalites and all these attacks and all these issues. These are illegal issues, and where the law and order situation is really problematic, action must be taken. But if we take this issue in a larger picture, then are all the allegations true, where they say that these people are Naxalites and they are attacking the state authorities and they are on a wrong path and they are misled people and they are provoked by some people? Are all the allegations true? 100% allegations, are they true? That does not look like that. So that's why when these excessive powers were used, the UAPA provisions which are very much unclear and vague, they were used, the sedition laws, they were used, and the fake encounters were used, then big questions are raised. You see, after 7 decades of independence, the relationship between the individual and the state is marked by a deep and pervasive imbalance of power. By these examples, we can see the imbalance is visible because more power is there with the authorities, more powers are given to the agencies, the concentration of the power is there with the government, and less powers are there with the people, because many attacks are there on the privacy, many attacks are there on their rights, like RTI, and many powers which were given in the Forest Right Acts and all, many provisions which were given. So many attacks we have seen in the past. Now, the colonial predecessors, what they started, the kind of actions they took, the kind of laws they passed, there is a striking similarity. Whatever is going on right now, you see, sedition is a grey area. Things are not very clear. You see, the corporate takeover of their land, that's a main issue in the Red Corridor area. Here, Adivasis, they resorted to an innovative form of protest. They began to carve provisions of the Indian Constitution's 5th schedule, where the scheduled areas are defined. Scheduled areas are announced by President of India according to the 5th schedule there, and that guarantees tribal autonomy there. So they use those powers. Then it was difficult for the agencies to put any blame there. So they started calling an issue. They said that these people are provoked and they are misled people. They are innocent people for sure, but they were misled in the name of scheduled areas, and they were informed about the rights which were not available to them. That means they were misinformed about their rights. And allegation was there against these people, Adivasi people, that they have done wrong interpretation of the constitution and of the 5th schedule there. And that's why they are taking action against the state. They are forcing the forces to act against them. And they say that this is the reason that the sedition law was used. It's a very vague law, very vague and ambiguous, unclear wordings are there. And it was challenged, but it was continued even after the independence. This issue of tendency to cause public disorder is very, very vague. You see, the failure is extended to every wing of the state. Parliament, who allow these provisions, who bring it on statute books, that's the biggest failure. Second, Supreme Court, for not striking it down when it had the chance. Third, when the governments and the police department, the executive, they use these tools of operation, then it is the third big failure there. Now, we talk about the UAPA Act and the recent amendment, which was very, very controversial, and the powers were given at such level to the authorities that heavy misuses can be possible. And there are possibilities. If these provisions are misused, then many innocent people, they may be behind the bars and they will not be given any bail, or the trial will not be possible. So for unlimited period of time, they can face many difficulties. in that UAPA Amendment Act also, the wordings are very unclear. The membership issue, the membership, what that means membership of terrorist gangs or unlawful organizations. What that means? How do you define that? How do you fix that? The people who were incarcerated in the Bhima Koregaon issue, those were journalists, activists, human rights lawyers, and very senior people. Some were faculties in the colleges and all. So there were no big evidences against any unlawful act, but those were taken behind the bars, and still they are without any trial. That's the biggest possibility. So there could not be any easier way of silencing the people, silencing the voices of the dissent there. That's why the people ultimately have to be very much aware against these kind of excesses done by the state, and they must be totally aware about their rights, and they should be very much confident and empowered to access those rights given to the people of India by the Indian Constitution there. So if the silencing is there anywhere, then the protest is legitimate there. And you see, by these provisions, if you see, misuses are totally possible, and these would be the easiest way, because this thing is coming from the system. The parliament is allowing these kind of provisions, the court is not striking them down, and the executive, they are using that, the authorities, they are using that. Things are going more in the favor of governments and the agencies there. Heavy concentration of the power is there. And the issue of fake encounters, why these things are there? Because there is no adequate structure of accountability, and till the time the structure is not there, these things will be continued. You see, this is one of the most controversial issue which courts discuss, the fake encounter issue. And this time in Telangana, what happened, this issue got a sharp relief. Means the messaging was there by the media for the people of India that encounters are great. They are a great way to execute the laws. These are the great way of the justice. Something which is the most problematic, that is upheld as the solution. That's why it's a very difficult time. And you see, High Court of Andhra Pradesh in 2009 passed a landmark judgment, and it said that encounter deaths would be investigated as if they were murder cases, and that was ultimately necessary. But that was stayed by the Supreme Court, and some unclear guidelines were issued a few years later on the same subject. So this way, what just happened here? One good step was taken, but again that was stayed, and ultimately the authorities, the agencies, those are empowered, and they can effectively operate in the zone of impunity, because the structure is missing. Powers are such. You take the example of that Hyderabad case. Now, how do you ascertain that fact? How that girl was raped? Why she was made the victim of this kind of brutality there? She is dead, and all the 4 accused, they are dead. And in a very controversial way, in a very, very suspicious way, those people were encountered. So this encounter was a legitimate encounter, or it was a fake encounter. How do you ascertain that fact? Because the messaging, the public pressure, and the political pressure, and the media pressure is all going in the favor of the agencies again. So the most controversial issue is upheld as a solution there. That's why it's a very difficult issue. And again, this all goes in that direction where the unclear, vague, and excessive disastrous provisions are emboldened. They are continuing, and the rights of the people, they will be suppressed heavily. They can easily be suppressed by these provisions. If you talk about the UAPA case, for example, it prohibits judges from granting bail if the police makes out a prima facie case against the accused. So many things are there on the police, with the police there, and the judges will be prohibited for granting any bail there. So the bail will not be given, trials will not be there, and that person will be behind the bars, because the sedition law can be put there. So systematically, concentration of the power in the hands of the state agencies. That's happening in front of our eyes. But we have the least objection to these things. Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh incidents, they show that the rule of law and constitution continue to fail those who need it the most, and where the places are sensitive, where this is needed the most, that is not reaching. And the root cause of the failure is the active complicity of the very actors who we most expect to maintain the rule of law. Means here we have given the responsibility to the governments, to the agencies there. They are working. We have this trust that they will uphold these rights for the poorest people. But there are examples of the heavy misuses and the power concentration by those people only. So that's why it's a very difficult situation in the democracy there. And we need this balance there. When the excesses are going in the favor of the system, the agencies and the government there, then we need to find the balance there by discussing, by getting inspired from the empowerment acts like the FRA, the RTI Act, which has empowered the people of India and who have made people very much aware. If you talk about RTI, then many of the revelations are done by this RTI, and that's why there is a clear attack on the RTI institution, so that the secrecy is maintained by the system and the people, they do not get empowered. These are the allegations there. Okay, so we must learn from the social movements that gave birth to the RTI and FRA and organize in similar ways against laws such as sedition and the UAPA, which are very much unclear, very much vague, and they can be heavily misused. So thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Sani. They may ask you a mains question there, that how do you find a balance between the citizens' rights and the state accesses? You have to talk about the FRs also, fundamental rights also, because those are mainly given to the people of India against the state's excesses, so that the state will not suppress their rights and their lives. So many of the rights which are called to be very negative rights in the fundamental rights category, those are given to us to empower us against any state excesses there. So you have to give the example of that also, and they will ask you that give solutions so that we can uphold this particular balance between the rights of the people and the state's responsibility. So thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit.